And we're back, Stripe Show podcast on a Tuesday, coming at you from the studio here. Got a full club fitting going on in the background, ripping 3 woods right now in the About Golf Simulator. Of course, today's podcast brought to you by About Golf Simulators, True Spec in the backdrop, fitting. We're on fire here. The golf season is underway. The Florida Swing is here. They were down at the Cognizant, which was fun, not the Honda, but it was cool to see the course back there at PGA National. And now they make the track up. Central Florida, Orlando, place we know well. Bay Hill Club and Lodge. My man, he is on site. He is locked and loaded. Keith Stewart, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm actually in the lodge. You know, it's a nice place. It's a nice sounding place to be. So I'm here in the lodge, coming to you live. And I mean, there's a lot going on. So I'll stop and you go. Let's. What do you got for me? Let's roll.
Let me start with this. All right. Just when I thought professional golf couldn't get any weirder, right? Yesterday I'm on X, and sure enough, a little tweet comes across, and it says LeBron James and Drake are now investors in the PGA Tour. There you have it. That's the day and age we're living in. I thought I would never say that, but by God, here we are. I mean, people, you're on site. I mean, you're mixing around. I mean, are people just absolutely exhausted by what's happening in professional golf right now?
Well, I mean, if you're telling me Drake's involved, must be God's plan. I mean, everyone is beyond exhausted. Everybody. I mean, everyone down to the volunteers get asked questions about live or tours or who's going to, I mean, congratulations to Austin Eckroat, 90-1 bomb, 8 weeks in a row. The hits just keep on coming. You know, my condolences, I guess, to all the Shane Lowry or Minwoo Lee or anybody that would have been in the top 50-1 range that, you know, didn't get the job done. Bear trap grab Rory, but, you know, 7-1 is a tough bet there. But most of the top of the board just isn't Matthew Pavone or Jake Knapp, as it turns out. You know, very entertaining event, but in the end, we're still not seeing the upper echelon of the PGA Tour wake up. And I think it has a lot to do with what you just brought up there. You know, if we're talking to LeBron and Drake for money and SSG and everything else that's going on, I'm here. I'll be players next week. Everyone's just tired.
Yeah.
Everyone's really tired. You cannot treat golfers as politicians. If you're going to sit there with Patrick and Jordan and Rory and continue to ask them more and more questions about the state of professional golf and not ask them about golf and their equipment and fun anecdotal things like that in their life, that, you know, then they are going to continue to get more and more frustrated. It shows. Yep. And it's building a lot of anxiety too. These guys are well aware. I mean, it's not so much that Scotty's aware of his putting, but he's aware of the fact that he's the number 1 player in the world and he's come up on a 1-year anniversary. He hasn't won.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the type of historical things that when you become number 1, you realize that just doesn't happen. Yes, did Rory win this year overseas? Sure, but last week he probably should have been a little better than tied with Sam Ryder. You know, it's
well, we talked about it. Look, we talked about it last week. You know, we talked about, look, how, you know, where are the bigger names? I mean, we've been talking about it for, you know, the last 2 or 3 weeks, and just how there's this, you know, weakness in every one of their games, and really a lot of them struggling with the flat stick. You know, I've been asking a lot of questions as of late, just, you know, where are we with these guys in putting? I mean, you know, Scotty's struggling. We've seen some struggle now once again out of Rory. It seems like Xander's kind of, you know, has been waffling a bit. There's inconsistencies with so many players. It just feels like Tony Finau, who's not in the field this week, with the flat stick, you know, and what's going on there?
Where is Victor Hovland? The guy finished the year with 4 straight top fives.
He's there.
And yeah, I mean, I know he's there. I saw him, you know, like, but where is he this year? You know, I go to the post office. He's on the wall.
There he is.
You know,
he's with me right there. See this picture here back in 2019. Man. Look at that. Look at this. So this was the Arnold Palmer Invitational. I mean, I've got a lot to say today, so just buckle in, folks.
Oh, baby.
I know the Arnold Palmer very well, and in fact, I may have known the king himself. Look, I mean, let's just keep it going here, right? Can you see that pic too, Keith?
Yeah.
I mean, that was back in look at that, PGA Tour Academy days. I think that was, gosh, I can't remember exactly what year that was, but we did an event there, and he was just phenomenal. It's the only time I ever met him face to face. Even my years at Golf Channel, I was never there when he was there.
Mhm.
One of the co-founders of Golf Channel, and at this particular event, he just stood out there and was mingling until everybody went home. I mean, he was unbelievable, taking pictures
He's the
and this
best.
and that. So, I mean, he is the best. He's the king. But look, this was memorable. I gotta tell you a quick story here, because this is after Vic, because you asked where Vic was, right? And so this is
Yep.
after Vic won the U.S. Amateur. And so I went out and played in the Pro-Am, and guess who I get matched up with? Victor Hovland. And so there he is. He's all decked out in his college gear, and we go out and play and just had a great time. I mean, he was just phenomenal. And I mean, the dude can hit it through a thimble, off the tee. I mean, he just gets it going. And I know his coach in college a little bit, and he caddied for him at the U.S. Open. And remember, he told me a story one time at the college showcase, which kind of goes full circle. The first college showcase that Austin Eckroat was at, and this was about 3 years ago. And he said, man, when Victor gets
Teammate.
it going with the driver, it's like you're playing golf. And he remembers in the U.S. Open, these guys his opponents were hitting like 3-iron stingers down there, and Victor's taking his driver. I mean, because he hits his driver, straighter than he does his 5-iron. And so it was amazing to watch that day. And, he was working on some things, but man, oh man, just to see it in person, this beautiful, just little high fade. And, and so, the rest is history. He's taken off. He's in the field. I got a lot of comments on him as we get to the breakdown and start looking at this. But I was just thumbing through. I was just thumbing through like some of my. I mean, look at this. I mean, not the name drop, but one year I played with Rory. I actually caddied, and look who is in my group, Keith. I mean, do you realize who you're talking to right now? We were playing with Rory McIlroy. I mean, this tournament has been so good to me over the years, and so many memories there. But the golf course, as we kind of pivot ahead, Keith, and I throw it to you, Bay Hill. Look, I don't think it's the player's favorite. I've played it a dozen times. It's okay. It's not great, but it's okay.
It repeats itself a ton. So Dick Wilson, 1961, God rest his soul, just wasn't the most creative architect of all time. And the redesign or the re-enhancement that Palmer did in 2009 made it better. But basically there's like template holes, and you just keep playing them over and over again. And that's why Bay Hill becomes so predictable on the leaderboard. If you're good at the types of holes that Bay Hill has, you're going to play them like 3 times around. I mean, it happens.
True.
It happens right from the start,
Yeah.
like you go out and you play a hard dog leg off the first tee. Well, off the 10th tee, you play a hard dog leg in the opposite direction, but it's essentially the same hole. The second hole is a super long, tough green to hit, par 3 for 220. Oh, the 17th hole? Is that anything like that? And then I love this stretch. 3, dog leg left around water. 4, straight uphill par 5. 5, downhill short par 4. Okay, I don't know. You ever play 11, 12, and 13 there? I mean, it's the same exact holes. Yep. So if you're good at about 6 of the holes there, you're going to be good at all of the holes there, which is why we see the same leaderboards there year after year after year. We know what favors. It favors power. I'm here. We got lucky today. We have a nice day today. The guys are out practicing. Tomorrow, Pro-Am, sorry, participants, it's going to rain. It's going to get even softer. We have the same issues that we were talking about last week with turf. It has not been a good winter in Central Florida or Florida in general. We haven't seen the sun a lot. The overseed is not nearly as dense for the rough as you'd like it to be. The ground conditions, the turf conditions are softer. Everyone complaining last week, what happened to the Honda? Everyone's making them, like if it's soft, these guys are good.
Yeah.
It would be like, it's like you're turning on darts.
Yeah.
Darts is getting really popular, and you don't expect the guys to hit the 20. Like, this is their job, right? Like, this is all they do all day, every day. And then you look at somebody like Scotty hitting greens from 210, within 20 feet, hole after hole after hole. That's what he's going to do.
Yep.
And that's what you need to do here, which is why he's been so good, or Rory's so good. So, long iron approaches, power plus height. You have to be able to launch the ball here. I know that the greens are going to be softer, but it's still going to be an advantage. That's why Rory's had so much success here. And, at the end of the day, you don't hit a ton of greens in regulation here, which is kind of an interesting conundrum because it's like the 4th largest greens on tour, but they must tuck the pins pretty good because you have to end up scrambling a bunch here. Couple short par 4s, 4 par 5s. You don't always scramble to save par. Sometimes you scramble to score. And those are the traits. And I guess the one last thing I'll say is that of all the true Bermuda grass golf courses on tour, so Innisbrook here and down at PGA National, this one behaves the least Bermuda-like. So if a guy is a good putter, just take him. Don't say like, I need to see him on Bermuda. I mean, if they're good on Bermuda, that'll only help. It'll compound the positive. But if they're not, I wouldn't be super afraid of that.
What if nobody's a good putter? I mean, that's good. I mean, well, my goodness. Yeah, I know there's some good putters, but we're joking about some of the struggles, right, that we've seen with a lot of the top players with the flat stick.
Yeah.
Kitayama, of course, won last year, 9 under. Scheffler back in 22, it played so tough, 5 under. Bryson, and his
tougher than Hatton's year, 2020.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say this. I can't believe I'm gonna say it, but I miss Bryson DeChambeau on the PGA Tour. I miss him. Yeah,
this is one of those weeks. I mean,
I miss Bryson. I miss Dustin Johnson. Who else do I miss? I don't miss Patrick Reed. I don't miss Lee Westwood. I don't miss Ian Poulter, who lives in Orlando. I don't miss Henrik Stenson, who lives in Orlando. I miss Cameron Smith. I do, even though he just lives about 4 miles from my studio. Anyway, don't get me started
let me jump in there real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So 2 years ago, everybody's like, oh, the live and this and that and everything. And we know it's a mess. But what it all comes down to, what everybody was saying from the start, was that they didn't want to break up all of these great elite golfers. Because in many ways, it was going to make the golf less entertaining. It was going to create this divide. It certainly is no good for the Tuesday show. And here's my point, right? If you go and look at Live Hong Kong right now, they've got like 15 players on the betting board at 35 to 1 or less.
Mm-hmm.
If you go over here to 69 players at Bay Hill in another limited field event, we've got 16 players at 35 or less. And I know it sounds interesting that I bring this up because all the long shots are winning, but the point is that we love to create these storylines and these narratives around the betting of all of this. And the books don't even know who to bet on, so they just make everybody's number super short. They don't make it any fun for us to do. And then, of course, these long bombs are winning, but that's a separate story. When you look at the top of the board, from the moment it started, I said, well, I'm not going to bet DJ at 4 to 1 against 50 dudes. That's right. We're not doing that. And now that's exactly what it's become. Everyone sits there at somewhere between 16 to 30 to 1, and it's every name that we're going to talk about today. And you know what? That's terrible. It stinks. There you go. Hate it.
Gosh, you get on X and there's people telling you that, the professional game is live backers. They say a professional game is in a good spot. There's more young players coming up on the PGA Tour. There's more places to play and this and that and across the country and, growing the game. And I just don't see it that way. I just don't. I don't see it that way. I don't see how the PGA Tour is bleeding right now, how a market that LIV has created in overpaying for players. And there's no golf industry or golf league that can withstand that kind of spending. You're not going to make your money back on that across the country. I mean, look, the DP World Tour or the old European Tour in its heyday when they had their players playing there was still not as big as the PGA Tour. Right. I mean, they're traveling all over the place. So you're going to tell me now with a new entity and you've got some star-studded names, but you're not going to create the market that you're not going to get that money back and the money that they're spending. So it's just all of these things. It just, none of it makes sense. And then you wake up and here's LeBron and Drake now investing in it.
I mean,
all right. I mean, what is it? What is it tomorrow? I think probably Taylor Swift's probably going to have a hand in the PGA Tour before we're all said and done. She's going to have a little invested in her. All right, let's get after it here. Let's get after it. First look. You want to go first? First look. I've got a lot to say. I got some comments on just about everybody in the field. 69 players in the field. There's a cut. Top 50 in ties. And
that cut a lot of guys.
Hey, there's official World Golf ranking points available, even though, there's only 69 in the field. There's a cut at top 50 and there's some sponsor exemptions, but man, you get down in that 50 number, no official World Golf ranking points. Here we go. First bet, you're first.
The man everybody loves to hate, Patrick Cantlay.
Oh God, don't do it.
Doing it. He should have won Riv by like 4 shots if he wasn't sick on Sunday. I know, if and buts.
Stop. No.
Working horseshoes.
Stop. You can't just say he was sick on Sunday, because this has been a little bit of a pattern on Sunday.
All right. Come at me.
Hasn't it?
Who is your first click? Before we even go there, right?
No. We're talking about yours first. You'll have plenty of time.
No. Time out. All right. Who's your first click? Because I want you to find me a guy other than Matthew Pavone.
There he is.
Who doesn't have any issues. Oh, come on. Come on.
He's got the beard back. Like, there's two things. There's two things that are different. I know he's like, oh, what a homer, going out on a ledge here, picking Scotty Scheffler. Well, I mean, if you haven't noticed lately, who's been winning, but okay, so Scheffler's got the beard back, right? But yet, here's the other thing that's different. That mallet putter. Remember when Rory said, I think he should go to a mallet? He's got a mallet putter, folks.
The spider.
Out there.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
I'll just go ahead and take the floor for a second. At some point, Scotty's going to start making some putts. And Scotty's so good tee to green that he doesn't even have to make that many. Okay. So it's like, for the life of me, it's going to happen. Okay. It's going to happen. And so I'm going to hedge and say it's going to happen this week, because we know what he can do tee to green. You just talked about the conditions. It's going to be wet. It's going to be soft. You're going to have length here. You need to be able to sling the ball in with high, long irons. The wind's going to be blowing. He can knock down his wedges. He can do all that. I mean, I'm not worried about any of that. And he's elite in all of that. All of it. Not just like upper, like tier. Like, he is the guy in just about every one of those stats.
You're right.
And so we've got some reps now under the belt in some of the changes that he's made. He goes to the mallet. He comes off. He's rested. The beard's fully grown. It's time now to put the pedal down. He'll be coming to TPC the following week. It's time to get the engines running. It's time to get the big names back into the race. And I think Scotty, the putter, wakes up this week and he wins. Go ahead, shoot holes through it. I know you're going to go to the flat stick, but look, I am willing to bet that Scotty's putter wakes up more so than Cantlay puts it away on a Sunday.
It's too easy to go after.
There you go. There you go.
No, it's too easy to go after the putter. So I'll bring up a couple points that probably matter just as much. His scrambling hasn't been great. And he doesn't get as much practice as other golfers because he hits a ton of greens in regulation. I get that. But then you would say that, okay, well, then make more putts and when he wins. So hitting more greens in regulation, whereas it is an asset for every other golfer in the field, I'm not sure that it is for him. When we go back to watching like Scotty win, it always seemed like he would chip in or do something from a scrambling sense. And I think that all the anxiety that he's created for himself on the greens is leaking into his short game. And as a result, one of the areas where he's going to need to score this week is par fives. And in the field, he's not one of the strongest par five players in 2024, or at least in the last couple of months. So if I was at the top of the board and I had to bet one guy under 10-1, which I'm not going to do before they're live and they go above.
Well, I'm not going to bet it either. I'm not betting him either, but I'm just saying he's going to wake up this week with the putter.
But Rory's been here 9 times. He's won 2018. He's never finished higher than 27th, and he has 7 straight finishes in the top 13. So if I'm going to go head-to-head at the top, I'm going to take the guy that Rory's my one-and-done pick this week. He is a cash cow at this place, and it just totally suits him. The guy launches the ball a million miles in the air. His driver is on point. He's going to have a huge advantage this week in that. And, so at the top of the board, those are the holes I'm poking at it. Rory will beat him. His putting is probably ranked 65th or higher. in this 69-man field. And I wish the par 5 scoring and the scrambling was better.
All right. So your boy Cantlay, who's,
Sorry.
very close to your heart always. And, you look at, all right, fourth at the
Closer to my
Genesis.
heart these days than my wallet, but that's
he
fine.
he was fourth at the Genesis, which, he
Yeah.
played well, but he struggled on the weekend. Clearly on Sunday, he didn't play well, also be it. Now he was fourth, but his putter saved him. Where I would shoot a hole through Cantlay, we've seen him be dominant with the driver, and I don't think he's been as clean the last 3 times we saw him. I think his driver's ailing a little bit more. Scheffler is a better driver. Scheffler's a better iron player.
Oh yeah,
And
100%.
by the way, Cantlay's lost strokes around the green the last 2 times we've seen him too. So I think like so many of these players near the top of the board, it's just hard to wrap your arms completely around them because there is a hole, and in many cases there are a lot of holes right now, which is just weird to say because look, Victor Hovland's right there, right? Let's talk about him. Hovland right now, I look at, he's 14-1. And look, Hovland short game doesn't look the same all of a sudden last few times out. He decided to go back on his own. The work that he did with Joe Mayo was noted. Joe did a great job with him. And he decided, look, I'm good. And Joe's no longer out there, and his short game hasn't been clean. Is that the reason why? I'm not going to say completely, but Hovland doesn't quite look the same, losing strokes again with the wedge. Now, can he get it back? Is he a world-class player? And can he get it going and win here? Of course. He can get around any golf course. But Hovland's got question marks. Xander, we know, has his concerns. Spieth, can he maintain level of consistency to win a tournament? Morikawa has his concerns. So it's just like we've talked about this. There's a hole, and there's multiple holes with many near the top, and it's played out, and you're just waiting for one of these players to grab it and go and take off and be that elite player of the PGA Tour that is so desperate. Hey, look, the PGA Tour is so desperately, and they're not going to say this out loud, waiting for. Like, come on, guys. Like, we need some of this to start happening. And all due respect to the Austin Eckroats of the love, who I love. Austin's a great kid. And I am not surprised one bit to see him win. Not one bit.
Yeah.
But you got to have your stars start playing well because, look, the PGA Tour has done a lot of things for its stars to this point. A lot of decisions for its stars, and they need to start stepping up. And I think they start this week.
Just so you know, I'm not crazy, right?
Okay.
Let me tell you a little story about Patrick Cantlay this week. All right.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to build you a little narrative.
Okay.
It's going to rain all day tomorrow. It's going to make this place soft. Thursday is going to be perfect for golf. Who's the round 1 scoring leader by a decent margin on the PGA Tour in 2024?
Patrick Cantlay.
Right? In the last 5 years, the average winning score is 8 under par. It's going to blow over the weekend, right? Patrick gets out to a nice little 7, 8, 9 under par after 36 holes. Hold on for dear life. It's a crazy weekend, and you fight off Scotty for the last 5 holes on Sunday. Scotty misses a couple short putts. There we are. We win. 18-1. You'd love, I would love people to listen to, you should cut up a social piece just about where you're talking down about Patrick and push that number up over 20 for me. And then I'll really
I'm not talking down about him. But
you're like, you're poking some holes, which is fair.
I'm debating you. I'm debating you on your pick. And
I did that with Scotty.
I would love to see Scotty and Cantlay in the final group on Sunday. But you make up the first round scoring leader, and it sounds like Genesis, right? Cantlay ran out to a lead, had a pretty good cushion there in what happened, So there's some.
Admittedly, he gave it back.
Yeah, he did.
He gave it back, right? And I am attributing that to health. A lot of people always make.
Before we move to the next tier, and I let you drive.
All right, I got a great question for you today.
I got to go back to this year we played with Rory. This was an amazing day because the reason I was there is I caddied for one of the main guys at MasterCard and basically taught him how to play golf in 2 days. All right, so this guy hadn't played a whole lot of golf, and he was great. And I'm not going to mention his name, but he's way up there with MasterCard. And so we hit it off, and he was fantastic to me. And we crash course golf for 2 days. And so I caddied for him, and we're playing with Rory, okay, because MasterCard is the main title sponsor.
Yeah.
And so we get out there. We have to go early because this guy has commitments in the afternoon. So Rory meets us out there. I mean, it's freezing, Keith. I mean, it's freezing. And so we get on the first hole, and my guy gets up there, and he's got his driver. And this guy hasn't played much golf, and he tops it right over the edge into the rough, down into the rough. It goes about, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 yards. And no worries, come on over here. And he's like, yeah, give me my 3-wood. No, let's just hit like a 6-iron and just get it down there. I mean, he's like, no, give me my 3. And let's just get into it. And so I give him a 5-iron. I can tell like Rory and everybody's kind of looking at me like, oh my God, this is going to be a long day, and so my guy gets his 5-iron, he ropes it down there. I mean, he hits it down there about 155, 160, and we're back in the game, and here we go. And Rory's just blasted, went over the corner, dog leg left. And so we get up there, and he's like, well, give me, now I'm gonna hit my 3. I was like, no, let's just hit this again. Let's build some momentum. And he's just, man. All right. So he gets it, and he hits the same shot. Hits a 5-iron down there, about another 155, 160 yards. So there we are. We're in front of the green. We got like 100 left. And I was like, all right, here. I said, now get your pitching wedge. And so he takes his pitching wedge and he hits it up there to a foot, taps it in for bogey. Off we go. And we're walking off, and Rory's like, wow, that was one of the best bogeys I think I've ever seen. I was like, damn right it was. After driving it 15 feet off the front into the rough, 7:30 in the morning, winds blowing, probably felt about like 20 degrees. Oof. And we made bogey. But I'm going to tell you how the rest of the round went. But Rory was fantastic. I mean, he was just, I'm telling you, Keith, like, look, there's good guys, there's great guys. Rory's one of the great guys. I mean, he was so good in that group. I had a long conversation with him, just like so many other of the caddies did. I mean, he's a gem to play with, and he made that day super fun. All right, so middle of the board before we drive. All right, this guy, speaking of the driver, remember I tell you this guy can struggle with his driver, and that's when it concerns me. He's not. Sammy Burns, as we get down into the mid-20s, this guy, Bermuda Burns, back over here where he feels comfortable, is driving it well. He's putting well. Could Sammy Burns be that guy that walks through the door?
Oh, Sammy Burns would look good in some Sunday red cardigan, that is, my friend. He could look good in some Sunday red cardigan. Oh, man. Yep.
So you like where I went with it. You like that.
I love Burns this week. Love Burns.
I did too.
4 straight top 10s. Even when he had his moments at Riviera, he still, scratched and clawed his way into another top 10. And it's all based upon the fact that when the driver's going for him and around this place this week, it will be a dependency club, but he's proven lately that he could use it. And
then
on the greens, he doesn't have a problem on the greens.
No, he doesn't.
And we know that. And if anything,
and he's long enough.
It's certainly long enough. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, in that range, though, you pick the guy there I like, right? But I got a question for you.
Okay.
Right? You're allowed to pick one Wake Forest alumni. Where did Arnold Palmer go to college?
Yep. Wake.
Okay.
I like this.
You can
like this angle.
You can pick one Wake Forest alumni.
And they played together. I know where you're going.
All right. You can pick one of them. They're both hyped beyond belief. They're in the hyperbole zone of betting right now, right? They're all over social media. You could pick one of them. Which one are you taking? Are you taking Cam Young, who is obviously striking the golf ball as good as anybody can strike it? Or are you going with a guy that's on the comeback trail and really proven that he's possibly back, and his one Pacadillo was that putter? Now you see the broomstick and the guy's putting good. I don't know if I have an answer to this question, but I hope you do.
I just gave it to you right there. I just put up my man Willie Z right there. Had a good conversation with his coach Josh Gregory on the podcast. If you missed it, go check it out. I got to tell you, I learned a ton about this club right here and what he's been doing. That lab putter has turned out to be very good for him, and what they have learned and discovered. And I got to tell you, I told Josh, I reached out to him. I was like, look, I think that's the most comfortable I've seen Will putt in a long, long time, and particularly inside of 5 feet where we know he can, the putter head can start doing some weird things. Now, in all due respect, I think it's good to see Cam Young playing some good golf again. His ball striking is back. His iron game has woken up. And he's made a few putts, 4th at Palm Beach, 16 at Genesis, 8th at Waste Management. That's what we're used to seeing out of Cam Young. So I just I think I'm going to pick Will. I really am. I think Will's just another cut ahead, and I think now with the momentum they're getting in the flat stick, I think they're ahead of schedule when it comes to the comeback. I think Will Zalatoris will be contending and will slightly edge out Cameron Young as far as a Wake Forest Demon Deacon. All right, let me give you 3 names.
Oh,
Let me give you a couple names, okay?
Come on.
I mean, I don't want to go back though.
Don't go back. Go forward.
Let's go. Let's get into some odds here, right? Because I had I kind of skipped over one of the all right. So here's an interesting one. All right, Jason Day's playing some good golf.
Yeah.
You know, a couple top 10s last time we saw him, 6th at AT&T, 9th at the Genesis, and really from Jason Day's terms with just an okay putter. You know, he kind of did it with the rest of the game. And so now he gets over here. Matthew Fitzpatrick, I think, finally showed a little bit of life last week.
He definitely showed some life. Yeah.
Yeah. And so
T21.
So Fitz versus Day this week. Right there, both about 30. What are they at? 35 to 1, right in there.
Fitz is 33, Day 35. Yeah. You got 2 close ones.
Okay. That's that number you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I'd go Jason Day.
Okay.
I just need, and I'm sure, folks, I'm well aware of Matt Fitzpatrick's history here. I'm well aware that 5 of the last 8 winners have been international. Well, Jason Day is too. I mean, I'm capable of knowing these things, right? But I just think the resume, the CV so far in 2024 would make me lean towards Jason Day, and his history there at Bay Hill is equally as good with that of a Matt Fitzpatrick, including a win, which Fitzpatrick doesn't have there. So I'll go Day.
Fair enough. I think that's where I would go too. It just the way the season's going.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like Fleetwood could sneak in, and why not get his first win? If we're going to go the international way, right? I mean, it just kind of feels like, yeah, that's been kind of the way the season's been going. So why not Tommy Fleetwood get his first win?
If for Fleetwood to win, it needs to blow crazy over the weekend.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
And it's supposed to blow like 18 to 20, but
Right.
if it blows crazy, Fleetwood's biggest asset is his short game. And he doesn't get to use it enough other than in major championships or very difficult golf courses. So if it gets super hard, I'm just worried because it's gonna be soft. It's gonna pour here tomorrow. It's already soft here. It's already been a cold, damp winter. I feel like it's gonna be tough for him to use that as an edge against some of these other guys. So if it was like super firm and fast and a windy year, and it was like a Terrell Hatton year, then back in 2020, then certainly Fleetwood would make more sense in my mind.
You get into the middle here.
Yeah.
You get into the middle of the board. Take us to a name or two that Hideki won earlier this year. Harris English finished, I think, 2nd last year, didn't he? He was right there with Kitayama. Adam Scott and Minwoo played very well last week.
So a lot of people are talking about Ben On. A lot of people are talking about Minwoo Lee. Ben On, he lived across town at Lake Nona, has a lot of time in Orlando to his credit. And Minwoo Lee, great last week. But, I always compare opposite boards. So I always compare the DFS board, and I always compare. Now, I know there are different formats there, folks. I get it. There's different scoring and everything. But Minwoo started the week in the 30s. And he's been climbing, and he started in the 6K range, which was the bottom of the mid 6s, which was the bottom of the barrel for DraftKings pricing. So he's never made the cut there. In fact, his stroke average there is pretty high. It's like over 77. He's a young player. He's obviously getting better. Last year when he missed the cut, he went on to hold the lead at the Players. So maybe he figured something out. But I don't know. I might take Ben On over Minwoo Lee there.
I think I would take Pavon over both of them.
Oh,
I tell you, this guy's been good. I mean, he's riding a heater right now. He comes over here
better than good.
Yeah, I mean, he wins the Farmers, of course, but he's just kept it going. Third at AT&T. All right, it's going to come to East Coast, and this will be different for him. All right, 28th at the Classic there.
But he hit the ball good.
Yeah,
He hit the ball good.
He can putt.
Yeah.
He is a really, really good putter. Is he long enough? That I don't know. What kind of length are we dealing with Pavon here? Is he? I got to look that up.
He won at Farmers.
Yeah, there you go. So,
that's like the longest course on tour other than a major championship.
Yeah. That's a good point. I was just curious what his average is. I got to look that up.
It's like 8,000 yards at sea level.
Yeah.
On a brutal US Open course. Guy's
been impressive. Good story, too. I like him a lot.
Jake Knapp, too. How about Jake Knapp? How impressive is this guy?
Man.
There's two names right there. If they're not on your placement card, what are we doing? Yeah. What are we doing? Right? Is Jake Knapp going to win twice in the first 9 weeks of 2024? No. But, those two guys are two of the hottest golfers on tour. And another guy, we'll get down further in a minute, but
Eric Cole. So we talk about Eric Cole real quick.
Okay.
There's a name that he ran up the board, played very consistent. He's probably taking on a little bit of struggle right now. And so
he's
missed
allowed
the cut
to.
last week. Yeah, right. He missed the cut last week. Now he falls. He's down there in 70 to 1 range. You ready to just kind of take a break from Eric Cole, or can he just kind of shake it off last week, regroup? Bay Hill doesn't feel like the right spot, does it?
Last week was the right spot. I'm not sure this is the right spot for him.
Yeah.
Way too much pressure on his driver, and mid iron, short iron approaches are his thing, and this is 200 plus. If you line up Eric Cole, we're talking about winners here. If you're lining up Eric Cole against, he just doesn't hit it high enough with his long irons.
Agreed.
Right? It's a huge advantage here. So.
You go into that 175 to 200 range. Okay. Last 36 rounds, he's number 1. He's better than you think. That's just it. You just kind of think, he's better than you think from those ranges. Victor Hovland's up there. Scheffler, of course, Hoagie, Eckroat, Will Zalatoris, Justin Lauer, who's been playing good, Jaeger, Cantlay. Those are some of the names.
36 rounds, though, is 9 tournaments.
I know,
right?
But I'm just saying, he's capable of playing that game.
Hit me up at 12 rounds. Give me your last 4 tournaments.
Last 12 rounds. Stand by. 175 to 200. Van Rooyen, Cole, Jaeger, Cameron Young, Knapp, Eckroat, Zalatoris, Nikolai Holgaard.
Yeah.
And by the way, Scotty Scheffler's better than you think in par 5s. He's fallen off a little bit, but
wait, time out.
Minwoo Lee.
Full disclaimer on Scotty Scheffler is good at everything, and he is great at some other things, right? So if I threw a little shade his way, the only reason why was that why wouldn't he win? He should win every week, but he doesn't. So explain it to me, right? But Scotty Scheffler is great at everything.
Yeah, he didn't win because he's putter anyway. Let's keep down this board. It's just interesting, with Eric Cole, he's smaller in stature. He's this. We're just not ready to say he's that good in all phases of the game, and he really is. He is that good in all phases of the game. Anyway, all right, back to the board here. Getting down to the 50s and 60s. There's Wyndham Clark. There's Tom Kim. Keegan. He's a top 20 machine here.
Yes. Yes. Although he missed the cut at Riviera, and I don't know, it's not a good spot for him. This is a good spot for him. I expect Keegan to bounce back here.
Corey Connors playing Corey Connors types of golf right now. He's hitting it good, not making a lot of putts. Sung Jae, not used. He's not hitting on all cylinders.
Sung Jae down in the 70s, right? Give me a break.
I know it.
In Florida. It's not good. It's not good.
I was on Bezadenhut last week, as I was Henley, and I didn't realize Russell Henley was going to have a second worst iron ball striking week, and that he second worst in the last 7 years. And he
Yeah,
made
I mean,
everything he looked at.
I jumped on the Henley bandwagon with you, and the weekend was not good. Was
Made
not good.
everything. Iron game, usually so good. Made nothing. Or couldn't hit it.
No,
Lost
couldn't
like
hit it.
4.
Speaking
Bezaden
of a
Hunt,
guy who,
we've been
speaking of
on.
a
I've
guy
been.
in that,
Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Tell me who you're speaking. We're in the 70s, 80s, 90s right now. Eckroat's coming in around 90.
We both liked Bezaden last week, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who showed up? Another South African. And how do you not pay attention to what this guy's doing? Eric Van Rooyen, right? I mean, look at his ball striking numbers over the last couple of tournaments. I mean, these guys in fuego. And maybe the win in November kind of set him loose down this path where in 2024, he's a guy in this field. If you tell me that a bomb is going to win at 90-1, he's got to be a really good candidate for it up there at the top of the board. I mean, a guy with his skill set, a guy that it's 100-1 like Nikolai Hogard. These are guys that are big, strong, modern golfers that are playing well right now that could certainly take care of business there. And don't fall asleep.
Played good Monday too. At Seminole, played good Monday too.
Yeah, he came in second twice this week.
Yeah.
Poor guy. Yeah. Meanwhile, the whole day he's thinking about whether or not he's got to go back for a playoff until Austin Eckroat went off. But kind of a sleepy fact for anybody that wants to diversify their card a little bit. Emiliano Grillo has a very good scoring average or history. Not to win at Bay Hill, but he's been good there. Makes a lot of cuts. I think he's made all of his cuts, actually, and maybe missed one.
Mm-hmm.
Been there a bunch of times. And when you think about his ball striking complement, it makes sense, and he's having his best putting season ever. So there's a guy for me for head-to-heads, top 20, top 30 class is somebody that might turn some heads and somebody that a lot of people aren't talking about. That's our job on Tuesday. Talk about the people that people aren't talking about.
Last 5 years, strokes gained total, Rory's won. Fitz, Sung Jae, I brought him up. Like, man, he's just struggling right now. But he's third. He's got what has he got? He's got last 5 years. He hadn't finished outside of top 21. He's got 2/3 in there. Scheffler, of course, he's got a win. Chris Kirk, Bradley's played well. I talked about 3 top 11s in the last 3 years. Max Homa trying to find his game. He's been inside the top 24 the last 4 years. Victor Hovland, of course, T2 back in 22. Corey Connors, no surprise here. Keep it out of the water, ball strike, make nothing. He's got 3 top 21s in the last 3 years. Spieth, 2 top 4s in the last his last 2 outings here. We haven't talked much about Spieth. As we kind of start bouncing around a little bit, Harris Ingles was close last year. He had a T2. Just kind of just going down this board here of strokes gained total. There's Fleetwood. He's down there around 12th. Could this be the year? It just feels like that kind of year. He had a T3 back in 19, T10 back in 21. The weather coming in, it just gets crazy wind. He can hang around, keep a short game going.
Yeah.
The way the season's going, wouldn't be surprised. I think I'm going to sprinkle a little Fleetwood. I really do. I'm going to sprinkle a little Fleetwood. Bezaden Hunt I talked about. I was on him last week. And by God, if I don't get on this week, I'm definitely playing Bezaden Hunt top 20. There's no doubt. He's got 3 top 20s in the last 4.
And
Cameron
he's been
Young,
good.
2 top 13s.
He's been very good here.
2.
Very good here.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to play. I'm going to stay with Bezaden Hunt. Probably sprinkle a little to win. Maybe. But I'm definitely playing top 20. So all right. So Grillo had a T21 back in 20 years. Grillo's played here a decent amount. Thomas, just in case you're wondering, Justin Thomas was T21 here last year. Xander hasn't played great here. Fowler's been okay.
Where is Fowler? What's Fowler's number? 150?
Yeah, probably.
110. 110.
I'm going to stay. Let's talk about Eckroat for a minute because there he is. He's around 90, 100-1.
All right.
And I've known Austin for the last 3 years. I met him at College Showcase, did the cut with him for the PGA Tour in Vegas, his rookie season last year. Got to spend some time with him, traveling around with his dad. He's married now. I mean, he's just a very grounded, mature young man. And the one thing that when we did the college showcase, we had some of the top college players there. He stood out in the crowd. And I can remember telling my agent this at the time, and I said, Eckroat stands out. One, because he hits it so damn straight off the tee. It's sick. Like it's like Fred Funk like.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he's just such a good driver of the ball.
50 yards longer.
He's longer. Yeah, he's longer than Fred. Yeah. But he hits it so straight. And the second is you just got the real sense of confidence about what he was doing, like in particular with the putter. And so watching him, even though he said he was super nervous, even watching him play convincingly, watching him play not to lose, didn't surprise me, because that's what stood out to me, was that kind of confidence. Like, no, I'm coming. I'm gonna go win it. You're gonna have to come get me, you know. And I'm not saying he's gonna do that every time, but my God, you just don't see that kind of confidence even from vets, you know, down the stretch, swinging that hard, no steering in it, walking up to these 6, 7, 8 footers, knocking it in with authority. Like, you just don't see that. Now, maybe his nerves are going to fray a little bit as he gets a little bit older, but by God, I mean, it was impressive. Now, does he have the skill set as, you know, some of these other guys that are always up on the top of the leaderboard? Maybe not, but man, he had a little dog in him down the stretch, and I wasn't surprised in knowing him.
I mean, fantastic.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. And holes 14 through 17 there, you and I both know, is a double bogey waiting after every swing. Exactly. You know? And the guy he just attacked. He was in full attack mode. And you know, there were other guys, you know, my condolences to the Lowry backers, but there's other guys that just didn't. I mean, that golf course was playing easy, and people should have been making birdies. Yep. And that's
as easy as it gets.
And certain guys, and certain guys were, and certain guys weren't. And Austin Eckroat was one of them. You know,
I've walked off PGA National never wanting to play golf again. Seriously,
it's that kind of golf course. Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, you get out there and you lose it, and the wind's blowing, and it's like you just I don't want to play golf again.
It can get volatile here.
Oh yeah,
the scoring. I mean, over the last 5 holes, you know, here at Bay Hill, it can get wild. It could certainly get wild, especially those last 3. You could go eagle, double, par, you know, and we've seen it over the last couple of years where a guy finishes like 4th group from the end and he ends up winning because, you know, the clown car pulls up and guys start running around the green, and then guys don't know what they're doing, you know. It's interesting. You know, Eckroat made me think of the fact that there's one thing that I love is I love great iron play. And he had his best career iron performance in Mexico, and he backed it up with his now best career iron performance at PGA National. So, as approach always seems to be the number one indicator or influence on the PGA Tour towards success. If you look at the last 12 rounds, sure, Scotty number 1, Tom Hoagie number 2, right? None of that is confusing to you at all. It's what you would expect, right? Okay. But look at after that. Jake Knapp, Matthew Pavon, Christian Bezadenhout, Nick Taylor, Ludwig, Xander, Chris Kirk, Eckroat, right? Okay, there's your top 12. I skipped a name. And it's one name that we didn't touch upon, and a name that I'm going to bet. So I owe it to folks to throw it out here.
Okay.
There's been a renaissance going on for Adam Scott. He's always been decent here. He had a couple top 3s. He never quite won here. But he's having a stretch run of approach play that is some of the best of his career. He's always been great off the tee. And this is the type of place that he's putted well before. So that type of prototype player, a guy that's built like Tiger. Tiger won here, 27 times? So, for me, Adam in that 50s range is a guy that I'm very comfortable with this week.
Yep.
And I've been watching him a lot. I walked with him in the Pro-Am during Riviera, and he just looks really, really unlike a lot of people that are being asked to be politicians, he's not doing that anymore.
Right.
And he's he seems less distracted than some of these other guys at the top of the leaderboard, and he could win. The guy's got win equity. He's a great player.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt. I think that's a good fun. All right, here's a question for you as we wrap this up.
All right.
More likely to win, the defending champion Kitayama, or last week's champion going back to back Eckroat? Man, that's a thinker right there.
Well, you'd have to go with Eckroat. They're two very similar style golf courses. The turf conditions are going to be very similar. And Eckroat's now he'll be working on 3 weeks in a row of just absolutely exceptional iron play.
Yep.
And, Kitayama could have been lightning in a bottle. He's one of the few guys that's ever won here on his first time. 11 of the last 13 winners played the year before and made the cut. The two that are missing there is Scotty didn't play the year before he won because he skipped a year, but the year before that he was 13th. And then Kitayama had never played here before. So everyone else plays here a bunch. So I would have to go with Eckroat's in better form, and I would have thought Kitayama last year would have been a little bit more of lightning in a bottle.
All right, fair enough. I like that. All right, well, there's some names to think about. I was looking at a little deeper dive with Justin Rose, and he just hasn't been hitting it good. Driver iron's not good. Putting great. Just
he'll be all over coverage.
Yeah.
But it'll be during playing through because he's going to be eating that like snow cone commercial, whatever, for MasterCard, and they're not going to be showing him on the leaderboard.
Well, I felt obligated to mention, right? MasterCard API. I mean, he's right there. All right, let's put it this way. Let's put it this way as I work down. In all due respect, because this is another one of the really good guys out on tour. But if Justin Lauer wins this week at 300-1, I am throwing in the towel on Tuesday night on Tuesday's show. I'm throwing in the towel on first time winners this year. Long shots coming in. Even better yet, if Webb Simpson wins at 400-1. I mean, I'm done. I'm done. I'm throwing in the.
Oh. I think you're good. I think we'll see you next Tuesday. I think we'll be together.
More likely to happen.
Players.
More likely to happen. Taylor Swift invests in the PGA Tour.
Stop.
Or the PGA Tour and PIF come into an agreement.
Oh, well, the PIF, because that has to happen. That is the one key thing that has to happen right now. Yeah.
But is it going to? I mean, doesn't it just feels? I mean, we don't. None of it knows. It's all speculation, but it just feels miles apart, doesn't it? It just feels so
out here. Out here, I mean, it's a mess.
No one knows.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
It's just a mess. The golf media is just constantly throwing gasoline on the dumpster fire that is the PGA Tour. No one's paying attention to LIV. Nobody cares about that storyline. Golf is removing tens of thousands of people from its audience on a daily basis. Yet the game, you could hear it in the background there. The game is more popular than ever.
Yep.
Right? Everybody in the world wants to hear about who you're going to bet or who you're going to do this, who you're going to do that, just because it's fun, because the actual architecture of what's happening is a total disaster. Yeah. And that confusion has leaked its way all the way into the top 10 in the world, and it's bothering them.
I think it's part of it. I really do. I think it's part of it. Yep.
Totally.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
It bothers everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, you can sense it in my voice. I'm just like, people keep asking me about it. This is like the fourth show I'm on this morning. Every single one. It's like, I don't want to talk about it anymore because until there's a resolution in sight, it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
And Joaquin Neiman's going to be cheeky about official world golf ranking points and all this stuff. And like he's entitled to them because he's just good. And obviously that system's broken.
Yeah.
There's going to be this huge buildup for the Masters, right? God knows what'll happen there or who will show up. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I saw a report today. The Titleist golf ball sales are up 10%. So
of course they are.
Yeah, so they're playing golf. Yep, they're playing golf.
Go look at the NGF, National Golf Foundation. Round
Yep.
count's not going down substantially since COVID. People love to play golf.
Yeah.
They just don't play golf like you see on TV. They actually have fun.
Yeah.
And they're enjoying it. And that's a huge difference. And it's a paradigm shift in my world and your world, or my former world of club professionalism and your teaching world, right? Your place is packed all the time. I see the social posts and everything. There's lines of kids coming up and everything. I mean, like, people want to do this. It's a great sport. Be outdoors and enjoy yourself. And these guys they'll figure it out. It's just growing pains.
All right. Hope so. Arnold Palmer Invitational this week. My man's there. He'll be sitting in this chair next week for the Players Championship. I looked at a little extended weather out there. Man, PGA Tour can't get a break. Clouds and rain Thursday through Sunday. Hopefully that'll improve by the time we get there. But the course I know is going to be in great shape. We do have some of the best players in the world playing this week, next week. Let's just enjoy that, celebrate that, and just be happy Scotty Scheffler was going to start making putts again and get back in the winner's circle this week. Keith, see you in a week, buddy.
Can't wait. Have a good one.
All right.